All right, what's up, guys? This is David Smasher from Chimino Podcast, and we have a special person with us. We have Hipster Paul over Discord. Say hi to the people.
Stop, people.
What's up? So, we had a few people ask us to do a spoiler review of Japan Sings 2020, and so Hipster Paul saw this with me. He saw it with his wife, I believe, and so we're gonna talk about it. This show, I think I said in my review in my first video, was that it's very intense. That first episode, because it comes in like a punch in the face, right, Paul? Like tell us a little bit like how you felt when you saw that first episode with like just the complete destruction of Japan.
Well, prior to that, I was really looking forward to this show, watching all the trailers because of natural disasters. But yeah, as soon as I started watching the show, it was shocking. I was quite hooked, but at the same time, kind of like worrisome, I guess. Because I wasn't too much invested into the characters yet, but it was kind of devastating to see how Japan encounters this natural disaster per se.
Right, because
in the cell.
I mean, they've had tons of disasters before, like not just natural disasters, but like other types, you know. And so this was kind of scary to see because it's like it kind of reflects like what's been happening now. Like it's like a real, because we've had I talked to this before that we, at least myself, experienced my first earthquake, a somewhat big one a few months back, and so watching them and seeing it on a whole other scale was kind of like whoa. Like I was like, dang, it hit close to home for me.
Yeah, imagine people, like, especially people in Japan. You know, they have a lot of natural disasters on I wouldn't say weekly basis, but every quarter or so. Who knows? But they have a lot more than what we have here, for sure.
Right. Yeah, and
So
so
in a
that
sense, they kind of are used to it. But this one, it went all over the top, for sure.
right. So let's dive into the story first, and then we'll talk about a few other things. So like I said, it follows the main girl Ayumu and her family and a group of other friends that are with her, and how they go, basically what they try to do to survive the aftermath of what has happened in Japan with the earthquake, and then what happens with Mount Fuji near like the middle of the show. Story wise, like again, it always wanted to catch you by surprise with like a death here or them doing a mission here, like for example with like Onodera-san like getting like his information or finding out that he is trying to speak to Yumu like with Morse code with his eyes first, and then with like making with his nail. So they're trying to keep you keep you invested on that. But I think you and I have talked about this and agreed upon that there's a part in the middle when they go to that, I don't know if would you call it a cult, or what would you call that place that they go to?
I would say a cult. It
Cult?
does feel like very culty and all that. So.
And I felt that part was like really slow. Like that's where a lot of people might have been like, I don't know if I'm going to keep going because it really slowed down. Like what did you think about that
Well,
part?
to be honest, on that particular part, kind of does out a bit. I wanted to watch it, but I was doing something else. But I don't know, it was really hard for me to follow. Especially, like, meeting the grandpa. I don't remember his name at the moment.
Oh,
The
yeah, I
old
do
man.
remember him. Yeah.
At first, I was, like, rooting for that guy, but as soon as I was watching that particular part with the cult, I didn't like him as much. It was kind of hard seeing his addiction as an old man, for sure.
I will say that the part of when Go gets shot by the arrow, I was like, oh dang, he's dead. I thought that for sure, because then the end of the episode after he gets shot by the arrow, but then his freaking game console saves him.
Good old video games saving our lives.
But yeah, that old man was weird. The cult was odd too, because it was like based around that kid who can, I guess, connect with the dead like as a medium and basically give like the last words or anything they had left over that they wanted to tell their loved ones, they could do it through the kid, right? And they kind of said like only a few people can be chosen to do it, and that kind of part kind of like I said, dragged on. But from then on, after we found out about all the big aftershocks, how'd you feel about the pacing of the show?
Oh, it went back to normal. I think apart from that cold, everything seemed that it was following the same pattern as it was in the previous episodes. They were trying to escape. They needed certain individuals, some sacrifices to be made. It was great, shocking but great.
Okay, so here is the big question. I wanted to ask you, because I kind of cringed at this, but I don't know if you did. How about the part when they're on the island? I think they just lost Ayumu's mom, and they find that little hot spring place, and they start rapping. How did you feel about that?
It was well unexpected. But at the same time, I kind of get it because they're trying to bring a lighter side of the situation.
Yeah.
But still, it was like really random.
Yeah, it was random.
Sure.
It went on for so long, like way long, and I was just like, I honestly kind of stepped back. I was like, I don't know if I want to watch this. I might want to skip this because I watched it, the English dub, and then when I was watching that rap, I was like, maybe I'll go to the Japanese one, and then it wasn't better, and I was like, I'm just gonna have to push through this. I don't want to watch that part, but
yeah, it wasn't that bad. It was just unexpected, for sure.
It just felt really out of place. That was my thing. It felt out of place, like you said. But then, yeah, then the ending. Let's go to the ending because the ending has a time skip of what 8 years, right? Is it 8 or 10 years?
Something like that.
So here's the thing here's the thing I talked about in my original review is that the whole thing about Ayumu's injury, I knew I was like they're gonna have to cut her leg. Like right when I saw that and she ignored it for the first time, I was like something's gonna happen, and I felt that was kind of like when they told about it, like I understand she was like upset like, oh, I can't believe that, but it's like as a viewer, I was like, we knew this was gonna happen. It was like foretold so long ago, so I never felt that part was like as I mean there were also deaths too, but it wasn't as dramatic as I think the show wanted to make it seem. What do you think?
But you know
about
what's
that?
funny? Prior to like the big reveal to what happened to her, and after the hospital encounter, you actually get to see her like meeting her brother, and you kind of get the sense, oh, maybe nothing happened in there. But yeah, for sure, once they show the big reveal and see what's going to happen, it was kind of shocking. Another thing that I was kind of shocked, or I was kind of deceived while watching the aftermath, is when you see Go swimming, because he didn't mention in the whole show that he didn't know how to swim, and then you see him like swimming underwater, like trying to hold his breath and all, and then after that you see him like going to the Olympics. So just by associating those images, you might think, oh, maybe he's gonna be in the swimming team or not.
Oh, I forgot about that.
It's funny that as soon as you watch what he is in for, he's actually for a gaming competition and all that. So
yeah, see that's the goal. See that's the life to have the video games be an Olympic sport. I mean I don't think they will. I thought it was cool though how they used the video game, I guess style, to like kind of show kind of what was going on. Like I guess in a gaming sense, and I thought that was cool because they used that same style that you saw like bits and pieces in the show at the end of what he's fighting. It looked kind of like a League of Legends, World of Warcraft type of game, but it was cool that they showed that at the end.
Yeah, it was pretty modern for sure, like having a lot of elements. Well, it's 2020, but the thing that kind of shocked me at first while watching this whole show is like having a YouTuber to be like kind of like
Kite.
The protagonist or helping the protagonist in the whole show. That was kind of fun. I was like thinking to myself, like, I bet a lot of YouTubers are gonna be like really enjoying this, thinking like, oh, like a YouTuber is pretty cool. He's doing a lot of cool stuff for the planet and all that.
I doubt a lot of YouTubers have that little wind thing that he has, the wind propeller, but maybe.
Right.
Here's the thing, though. I was so confused at the end because I thought that he died.
And that's what, once again, the whole series make you think, oh, maybe he disappeared and he died. But then again, it kind of throws you off a bit, especially the ending. Like, there's a lot of things, like we mentioned, talk about Go, Kite, or even the Ayumi, that you may think something else happened, but it kind of throws you out. I'm like, oh, this is not what you're thinking. Something else happened. Although with Ayumi, you kind of see that happening with the cut and all that. But
yeah, and there's one thing before we talk about. We're gonna switch over to this in just a minute. But there's one thing I want to talk about is I think one thing that I really liked all throughout the show. At the beginning, I didn't understand. I mean, I did understand, but I was like, why they focused on this was the whole pictures thing, where they wanted to take a picture. The mom wanted to take a picture. Hey, let's take a picture. Like them like when they get to the tree in the first episode, and then when they split off with the other group, and then after every subsequent hardship or something, they just take a picture. And I was like, I know she was doing it. I think she was doing it just to keep morale up and to see that they were still together, something positive. But I liked it that they tied that whole pictures thing with what happens in the end when that part of Japan is like rising up and they're using all the pictures, and images that people have had from Japan, like from way before, and they upload it so that people could get like a full view of Japan. And then you see that kid who she gave the picture to in the first episode or the second episode. So like it does like a whole wraparound. So I thought that was really cool. At first I was like I was wondering why, but I thought the payoff was really good.
It's funny because prior to finding out, because the mom, she doesn't look very Japanese.
Right.
And at the very beginning, I was talking to my wife, and like we're thinking like, oh, I wonder if she's like Hispanic or anything like that. I was telling my wife, man, maybe not. She kind of looks Hispanic because she has dark skin and all. But as soon as she pulls the camera, like, oh, maybe she's Hispanic. So I had the assumption that maybe she was Hispanic and all because she likes to take pictures. And well, in my family at least, people like to take pictures a lot. So we think, oh, maybe it's Hispanic or not. But yeah, I found taking pictures to be quite annoying at first. But yeah, it does make sense that they were trying to use it for a bigger purpose.
Yeah, and it's funny I guess I have one more thing before we go into the death scenes. There are a few things that they touched on that showed like the dark side of people, because most people know, like once you in this catastrophic or this this place where there's a lot of death or there's a lot of possibility of dying or being in danger, that a lot of people take advantage of the situation. So like we saw that with that, I think it was 2 times. There was that guy who tried to assault Nanami, and then that other guy in the cult plane that tried to assault Ayumi. And I was like, and I'm pretty sure that's what would happen too. Like if there's a situation like that, people would take advantage, be like, it's the end of the world, might as well do whatever I want, right?
Yeah.
It was kind of hard to watch that one, and but I was like, I mean, it made it more realistic that there are people like that. And
what? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh no, go.
I was gonna say, well, watching the show initially, I was thinking, okay, it's gonna be a disaster movie, so I'm expecting people to die, but I wasn't expecting like almost all of the crew or the main cast to like die. That was kind of shocking as well. Like initially when you were talking about like the guy who was trying to take advantage of Ayumi's friend.
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember her name right now.
It's Nanami.
Yeah. So I was like, oh well, she's pretty cool. I hope she survives. And the next thing, maybe like the next episode, she dies right away. And that was kind of shocking.
Yeah,
for sure.
Let's go into the death scene, because like you said, a lot of the main cast dies, or you presume. So I think the only one that you only presume are dead, the 2, because you never see him again, is the grandpa and then Haruo. You don't see him die; you just see him get taken by the waves, and so it's implied that he drowned.
Yeah, he probably drowned.
Here's a question though, because this was the question that was asked to me. How do you feel the deaths were, in terms of their impact? Like, did you feel like the impact of each of them was like significant, or did it vary between person to person, or was it like as the series went on, you're just like it was just something that didn't hit you anymore? You're like desensitized to the death.
Oh no, I wasn't. Although the initial that well, because in the first episode, who's the one who dies? Somebody dies in there.
In the first episode, no, the first one to die from the main group is the dad.
Okay, so it was that. So as soon as I watched that episode, that really shocked me. That really got to me because we were not expecting that. He was just like, "Hey, I'm trying to help my family, trying to get some food, provide for them." And next thing you know, you see like where he's digging, and next thing you know, you see everything blowing up. And what's even worse, I think the part that shocked me the most is seeing his hand fly all the way next to his wife with his wedding ring in there. I'm like, man, that really was pretty shocking and unexpected. Everybody else, I kind of didn't see that dying in that particular way, but overall, every death was shocking to me, except for the mother, because you kind of see that happening a couple miles away.
I guess was that one impactful though, or were we kind of like,
it was at least for me, because like you already knew that she was sick.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I kind of saw that happening, but everybody else was a little bit unexpected, for sure.
I think not necessarily hit me hard, but the one that I thought was really like unexpected and just there's two. One that was way out there was Nanami's death, because like you said, she just got done with beating off the assaultant, and then they go to the bathroom. All of a sudden, you hear like this boom, and then she's dead. I'm like,
oh, yeah.
I was like, what? It was more like I was confused. I was like, what? I had to process, like, did they really just kill her off just like that? And I was thinking, well, again, like they're trying to make this, I guess, as more realistic as possible, and that could happen. Like, I guess gases could just come and you just plop her there and die. But the other one that got to me was the freaking 10-year-old kid from the cult. That one, I was like, what? Because he's like, thank you, mommy, or thank you, something. Then all of a sudden, the ceiling comes and hits his hand. I was like, oh my gosh. I didn't believe that they would kill the kid, or you would see it like that. I guess I wasn't expecting to see the death of that kid so graphically, I guess.
Yeah, it was quite shocking, at least. Yeah, that was shocking for sure.
So would you say the dad was the most? What would you say is the most impactful death that you saw?
Yeah, for sure it's gonna be the dad, because it's at the very beginning, like second episode at least, or third. I don't know, but I can see casualties dying because of the whole earthquake and all that. But seeing somebody in the first individual from the main cast to die, it was shocking, because at the beginning you can see like that guy could do everything. He had a lot of skills. He can survive easily in any other future situations.
Yeah.
But because of a simple mistake, he was gone right away.
I think the one that I was more like, why'd you have to kill him, was Haruo. I thought his whole arc, about him, with me saying like, I want you to race again, and then him, practicing it, and then when they have to save like the hard drive, and he like runs as fast as he can, grabs it and comes back, and you're thinking like, oh, he makes it, and all of a sudden that stupid wave comes and gets him. Like, come on, man. he was like in the background for the most part. He didn't really stick out too much. Then you had to get him impaled by that stupid metal piece or whatever, and then he has all this growth, and then you kill him. I was like, sucks.
Yeah, I guess you can see that, because initially I wasn't even rooting for him. It's like he was the first one to go, but overall, like as time progresses, you'd become more attached to that character, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, at least for me, the mother was the one that got the father.
Oh, the father was the
father.
Most, yeah.
The most, the mother the least, for sure.
Okay, so the last thing we're gonna talk about is animation about this show. So again, this is from the same director who did Devilman Crybaby. But I want to, at least to me, uh, I know the style is like very. Mm, I don't know exactly how to describe it, but it seems kind of more on the simple side. And I know there were some people that didn't like the animation because of that. And I kind of like, I wasn't, I guess, what's the word? I wasn't really like impressed by the animation too much, at least from the characters, and even not so much from the backgrounds, at least personally for me. But what got me was the story. But the animation wasn't like the greatest to me. And I did watch Devil May Cry Baby. And again, it was more the story than the animation that kind of drew me in. But I wanted to know your thoughts on it.
Well, I was watching some of his works, apart from Devil Cry Baby. It's very fluid. It's not very like your typical anime in there. He plays a lot with animations and a lot of curves when it comes to the design of the characters in the anime as well. At first, I think the animation was good, as expected from his work. But I think halfway through the show, I think some of the animation quality kind of dropped a bit, and you
Yeah,
can see it in the way that some of the faces were drawn or background characters were
there was
seen.
that one part with the grandma or whatever her name is, where she's like taking a bath, and like they have her like on, they see it from the half, like from the side view, with
Hmm.
like all the mist. But it looked so like they had almost no detail on her, on that, and it kind of like, I don't know, it really turned me off on that they didn't they didn't even put like hands. Basically, it looked kind of like a nub, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
I was like, why are they like cheaping out like that much, or why are they not doing? Because I know he's very fluid, so you can see that, but it seems like he uh he sacrifices sometimes detail for the fluidity, and sometimes it doesn't
Hmm.
pay off as much.
Yeah, for sure. I was actually thinking about this because you know that this anime show was based on a book
Yeah, huh?
called Japan Sinks. It was published in 1970s or something like that. And I know they also released another movie, an old school movie. I do like to watch it to compare it. I mean, it's probably gonna be really outdated, but the fact that I wonder if they were able to bring all the elements that they had from that book into the new anime. That they were mostly using all their efforts to use what's in the plot. That they
Right.
decided to lack a bit on the animation. Um,
It
I don't
could
know.
be. I mean, they
Yeah.
had to modernize this because
Right.
obviously
It's fine.
the kid, the Go, didn't have a freaking eat Switch or whatever he's playing, back in the 70s or 80s. So I would like to see
Yeah.
what they do with that. Um, Before we finish though, I did want to ask one thing, because I know you watched it with your wife who's Japanese. Um, what did you think about that part when they find that boat that are gonna take people, but once they find out that they're half Japanese, that they are like, or not Japanese, they're like, no, like they wanted to like preserve the Japanese, I guess, blood is the way
Yeah.
they're talking about it. Like, did she have any thoughts on that, or like anything at all? I've always just wondered.
Um,
Like, is that a
I
big
don't
thing in
think so.
Japan? Do you think,
For
or
her,
not
it
really?
was. She seemed like it was a normal thing because there is people like that. For me, it was kind of shocking because I didn't get to watch it as much or seeing it or experience it. But she told me that there's places in which, especially older generations, would like to keep their, ancestry pure and have to be Japanese and Japanese by itself. But then again, the more I think about it, it doesn't only happen in Japan. I mean, a lot of other places, uh, they like you shouldn't associate with this culture. You should just be per se this particular culture, ethnicity or culture or whatnot. But I think it wasn't shocking for her, but it was for me to see that.
Yeah,
So,
I was like,
mm.
really? Like, they're gonna do that to these people? Like, that's, oh
but
well.
at the same time, it kind of makes sense, like especially you're thinking from somebody from the older generation with the perspective of, oh, hey, we need to save everybody who's important to us. Okay, it has to be somebody from pure Japanese, so we can keep our blood pure and not corrupted with any other countries or whatnot.
Right.
But yeah, but still, they got what they deserved though after what happened
That's true.
to those people.
So then, overall, when I reviewed this, I still give it the same score. I give it about an 8.5. What would you score it out of 10?
Probably around the same range as well too. I think I wouldn't call it a definitive masterpiece, but it is a good show. It brings a lot of attention, especially nowadays. To what's happening in the world. It's a possibility. It's kind of scary to be aware of that, but at the same time, it actually brought a lot of reality into it. It wasn't like, hey, we're gonna fix it with just magic or something. It was very realistic. Although there were some scenes that were kind of questionable, but apart from that,
Oh yeah, we could go all day with those, but
I think it was a pretty good movie, a pretty good show. I mean, it could be I'd probably bump it up a little bit more if the animation was a little bit better, and if they were to remove the whole cult, or I don't know, find another way to address that. Because, like, for me, I think it was that was the lowest boring.
Well, yeah,
part.
because they could really, like, everything that happened there didn't affect the show at all. Like, really, it was
apart
like,
from finding that scientist.
oh yeah, aside from that, but I guess they could have found him another way.
Yeah.
I guess, or maybe they could have just like put it to just one episode that they're there where they find him, and then they have to get out because there's that earthquake coming. That's the only thing I could think of. They just
Because what's it like? What,
shrunk it.
3-4 episodes on the whole cult thing?
It's like 2.
I don't remember.
I think it's 2 or 3.
Okay. Yeah, I think that wasn't needed as much.
Yeah, I don't think
But
it was
overall, I think it was pretty good, very, very realistic for sure. And it makes you wonder, what if that were to happen? Would we be ready for it? Would people in Japan be ready for it?
either. Right.
It's kind of scary, but it sends their message across for sure.
But since Ono that he said that Japan will rise again either way, so I guess there's that hope, right?
Yeah,
All right. Well,
definitely.
Well, I believe that's it for this episode. And thank you so much, Paul, for being here with us and telling us your thoughts on it. And if you guys want to tell us your thoughts on the show, what you liked, what you didn't like, maybe you gave it a perfect 10. Tell us why. I will say this much. I don't think I'll watch it again just because I don't know if I want to watch going through all that
Very
again.
shocking.
Yeah. I guess
Yeah,
it's not like
for
it's not
sure.
like it's like grab him just like, that's good for once. I'm not going to do it again.
Yeah, especially once you get attached to the characters for sure. But yeah, I'm really curious to see what other people think about it. So if people can leave their comments and see what they think, what things could they improve, or maybe I don't know, is that something that you guys want, a realistic ending, or something that could actually happen, or something a little bit more on the lighter side?
It's all going to end with Kite being lucky. That's all that matters.
Man, that guy.
He's
So
lucky,
lucky.
man. All right, we can go on forever, but we're going to stop it here. So again, thanks so much. This is David the Smash Man. We have Hipster Paul with us. Say goodbye, Paul.
Bye everyone. Enjoy this show or not. It's up to you.
And this is Chibi No Podcast.